University. Thank you. I graduated some time ago, but that's all right. We're not gonna talk about that. Super excited to be here, and welcome to the Project Hail Mary HBCU Debate Showdown. Are y'all excited? By Amazon MGM Studios and their upcoming film, Project Hail Mary, releasing exclusively in theaters everywhere on March 20th. Amazing. Okay. This film follows science teacher Ryland Grace, played by none other than Ryan Gosling, who wakes up alone, period, on a spaceship with no memory of who he is or how he got there. As his memory slowly returns, he discovers he's humanity's last hope. Tasked with solving the mystery behind the substance that is causing the sun to die out. Using science, creativity, and pure determination, he must save Earth. And he may not have to do it alone. Just like Riley, tonight, we have some big questions that need solving. All right, now let's get to the debate part, okay? It's gonna be super fun. Let's meet our incredible debaters from Spelman College Speech and Debate Team. So, for Team A, representing excellence and innovation, please welcome Team Astro Authority. And representing Team B, with leadership and legacy, give it up for Team Mission Accomplished. There will be 3 rounds, each focused on a different category. 1, survival advancement, 2, teaching and technology, and 3, HBCU culture. After each question is announced, teams will have 4 minutes to collaborate and prepare their argument for the affirmative or negative during our draw after each argument. Then, each team will have 4 minutes to present their case. Each round will pull from this box to determine if you have the negative or affirmative argument. At the end of each round, our judges give it up to the judges. We'll deliberate and determine which team made the stronger case. After all 3 rounds, 1 team will be crowned the Project Hail Mary HBCU Debate Showdown champion. Ooh. Oh yeah. Okay, all ready? Yes. Let's get I'm gonna put it over here. Okay, this is the box. Yes, okay. Oh, we're not pulling for okay. Period. You know, okay, go ahead. Affirmative, negative. Y'all ready? Yes. Awesome. Round 1. Question. If Earth needed saving, should we send our best scientist or our most creative problem solver? Teams, you now have 4 minutes to prepare your argument.
Yes, my love.
Now, if Earth needed saving, should we send our best scientist or our most creative problem solver? Now, although I commend creative problem solvers for their ambition and ability to make something out of nothing, plain creativity is not the best way to solve problems. Our team believes that we should send the best scientists for 3 reasons. 1, scientists are already inherently creative. 2, creative problem solving does not guarantee an ability to execute those solutions. And 3, creativity is less reliable than science and could actually create more harm than good. So while one may idealize the creative problem solver because I admit the title sounds appealing, imaginative, bolder, but the assumption downplays and fails to give credit to what a scientist really is. Scientists are creative problem solvers themselves. Many of the creative people we think of today, such as Einstein, Tesla, Katherine Johnson, Isaac Newton, were scientists. In order to create new chemistry, new technologies, and develop new concepts through science, you have to imagine something something that has yet to exist. If that's not creativity, judges, then what is? And by sending a scientist to save Earth, you're getting both a person who can think of creative solutions and one who can execute them as well. 2 in 1, rather than 1 in 2. So, creative problem solvers do not guarantee the ability to execute the solution. Scientists do. To save Earth, you have to be able to do more than think creatively. You have to also know the science behind the ideas. Scientists will know how to diagnose Earth's problems by studying planetary behavior and data. Without that scientific understanding, a person may generate solutions, but they would lack the necessary skill set to do them. For example, let's say a satellite moved and we lost global communication. A creative problem solver might propose fixing this by attaching rockets and pushing it back into the right spot. Mind you, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt by assuming they even know how to make a rocket. And while the idea sounds logical, a scientist would know even the small changes in thrust could send the satellite off balance and cause it to burn in the atmosphere. These complex issues at hand can only be solved by scientists. Saving the Earth demands more than imagination. And that is why, without science, pure creativity can cause harm. See, scientists work under an ethics code. They're heavily educated on how their actions can harm people, even with the right intentions. A creative problem solver is not bound by these same values. They can forget about ethics. Sometimes it's accidental due to their lack of expertise. For example, if Earth was too polluted, a creative might suggest limiting cars and buses to reduce pollution. Sounds good, right? However, scientists would recognize that many marginalized communities rely on public transit for work, healthcare, food access. They would never implement that. And yes, you can argue historically that science has not always been on the side of marginalized communities. It's bad. But does that mean a creative problem solver would? It doesn't automatically make you a person for the people. We need to keep marginalized communities safe and not leave their fate in the hands of inexperienced people. So to sum it up, scientists are the best option, actually the only option for the creativity, their skill set, and their ethical code. They're creative problem solvers and more. When the future of the planet is on the line, the choice is clear. It's not the most DIY creative in the room. It's calculated, capable, scientist, thinking.
I'm so sorry.
Hey guys, I'm starting with my first word. I'm representing negation, the team mission accomplished. Okay, as we get into today's debate, the first thing I'm going to go over are some definitions. So, I'm defining the most creative person as someone who is highly emotionally intelligent. Psychology Today says that most people who are creative problem solvers have a high level of emotional intelligence, and that's what gets them to really understand where that problem solving lies. And we're defining a scientist as someone who utilizes traditional scientific methods, so examples like Marconi, Thomas Edison, Isaac Newton, etc. And what's really crucial in this debate today is that if Earth truly needed savings, we should bring people who understand humanity, who understand the depth of the people. And while the best scientists may be able to read numbers, make a rocket, read a graph, the most creative problem solver would understand the people, what truly benefits them. This takes me to my weight mechanism for today. We're going to talk about harms and timeliness. My role is more inclusive. We recognize the marginalized communities that my opponent cares so deeply about, and we actually make sure that they're properly accounted for. Additionally, my role gets the job done. My opponent is going to give you some argument about a scientist who can make a rocket, but is that actually going to help anyone? And the word for today, as negation, is proof the most creative problem solver is better trained, better equipped, and most likely to get this job done than a good scientist. On my contentions, if Earth needed saving, it would most likely be due to structural issues. Look to Earth's current most pressing issues. Think to capitalism, the patriarchy, and hierarchies that are related to that, healthcare, inequity, environmental racism. We're talking about things that are built into structures that are ingrained in the very communities we live in. And the best scientists, like I said, can read a graph, can measure damage, can tell you that this is actually happening on their highest ground, all because they have some PhD that tells them, oh, the numbers are going up, so this must be an issue. But what the most creative problem solver does is they actually question these systems. They look at where the damage is happening and they look at what's producing this damage. They hold all of those areas of the issue accountable. They're emotionally intelligent, they're aware, they recognize the oppressive systems, and they recognize the structural issues, and they make sure that they are held accountable and taken care of. Additionally, they give actual solutions. Keynote, when we're talking about creative problem solvers, is the word problem solver. They're not just creative, they can't just think. They actually are equipped to be able to get this done, to be able to solve these problems because it's in their name, that. Additionally, they're centered around helping people, right? So that means that they care about these issues that are happening in the world, unlike the scientists who may be bound to ethic codes, which, as my opponent recognize, is not actually happening in the real world. They truly do realize that these people need help and are going out to do that. On my second conclusion, that scientific methods are not inclusive. My Spelmanites know ADW is rough, but it can be very beneficial in the views that we're actually taking. So for example, the woman theorist Ruth Hubbard, in one of her works, Back in Feminism, she argues that science has historically lacked representation of marginalized communities in their statistics, meaning they're not holistic. They exclude marginalized communities, especially Black people. My opponent gave a direct quote that we should prioritize marginalized communities first and foremost in this debate. And my opponent, I completely agree. I think that in this debate, the person who would actually recognize marginalized communities are having issues are people who look past those scientific methods and they focus on they focus on creative problem solving that amplifies their voices. Their science is not actually recognized historically. Then I was my third contention that creative problem solvers will generate more urgency. Issues that are draining the world overwhelmingly impact marginalized communities. Look to Flint, Michigan, where there are huge issues with environmental racism and food deserts and water crises, or air pollution in Southern California. The best science is trained to make generalizations that lack perspective, but what the creative problem solver is going to do is prioritize first-hand experiences in people and actually match a manner that focuses on this urgency and gets the job done. For these reasons, mission accomplished is on top. Over us.
I'm back. And now the judges will deliberate for 2 minutes. question is, could humanity survive long term without teachers, even if we had advanced technology? Teams, you have 4 minutes to prepare. Affirmative.
Well, that story was told to Greeks who served as custodians of culture and transmits history through songs and storytelling. Greeks are an example of educators outside of the traditional classroom setting, and they inform and carry on legacy just in an unfamiliar way. Identity and intersectionality affect the education of individuals. The current system we live under now does not cater to the development of the queer, people of color, disabled, etc. students due to the centralization of white patriarchal studies. We can look at what happened to the Native Americans. I'm reading this directly from the Native American Rights Fund Journal article. The history of what Native American children endured at the federal Indian boarding schools is not well understood or even known by most of the general public. Because for generations, schools and universities in the U.S. have failed to teach about it in the assimilation era. The U.S. designed schools to force children to forget and reject their indigenous languages, religious practice, and culture, and to replace them with Anglo-centric ones. Federal boarding schools destroyed children's identity in the prison-like institutions. My second point, many people do not thrive in traditional teaching settings. Pedagogy of the oppressed. Brazilian educator Paulo Freire says that the modern education style is a banking system, where students are fed information in the environment. There is no space for original ideas for students to be cultivated or expressed. What we need is an open-ended approach, allowing the students to think on their feet and create their own reality. Connecting this to the question, do we need teachers for humanity to survive long term? Technically, we don't. We can survive without institutional teachers and can hone more into our educators at home, our social groups, and even our technology, because it allows us to be unique and learn things we would have never learned in a standard classroom and simply apply it to our modern day life. The setting of the classroom does not guarantee the world's next inventor or CEOs. It influences uniformity and employee mindset, and the current schooling teaching system is not receptive to original thought. Minorities learn from their families cultural and racial lessons that cannot be taught in school. This is because our reality looks different from the world that we learn in our classrooms. Teachers don't teach us about the systemic racism and how everything is built against us for us to reach our success. No, it was your mom, your dad, your grandparents who did that. They will use their experiences to educate and warn us about problems we most likely face in the real world. My third point, advancing technology allows for more accessible education and problem-solving methods. Advanced technology will allow for the most valuable lessons, especially those taught by teachers, to be immortalized. They can be recorded, scribed, and captured for humanity to learn from, even after these teachers have passed on. Advanced technology will enable accessibility worldwide. Those who cannot travel or physical limitations will still be able to meaningfully contribute to problem solving through advanced technology systems. With advanced technology, the methods for international connection and learning will only broaden and become more inclusive. For these reasons, I know that humanity will survive without teachers. Thank you.
Team Mission Accomplished believes that humanity could not
technology. First, I'm going to address what the affirmative said, and then I will present my contentions. The affirmative's main issue is that they didn't address the technology part of the debate. If advanced technology were to replace the teachers that we have today, we would be at a huge loss. The career perspective that the affirmative presented is biased because while some people are teaching through their families, some people are teaching hate. Technically we don't need teachers, but they were too focused on the definition of teachers rather than the function of what teaching is. They attacked the standard teaching classroom, but not the actual relationship that teaching presents. Now I will go into our contentions. My first contention is that humanity thrives on curiosity. Teachers foster curiosity through their lessons, methods, interactive learning, and allowing their students to find answers for themselves. The impact of this is that curiosity is essential to continue learning throughout your lifetime. It's a necessary skill to evolve and utilize neuroplasticity. The brain is use it or lose it. If you're taught to seek answers rather than learn the process of questioning, how we learn in everyday life. We don't want to become reliant on technology because we become weaker and less intelligent when we lose the skills we could use without the tech. How many phone numbers do you have in your life? Probably not very many. Without your smartphone and your already inputted contacts, would you be able to call your emergency contacts or even just your friends? You probably wouldn't. Tech helps us, but it also handicaps us. The true relationship between teacher and student, which is more important than the standard classroom setting, is what teaches us to develop the skills to continue learning ourselves. My second contention is that technology is impersonal, but learning is a very personal experience. Humanity thrives on personal connection. At our core, humans are social beings. That's why school isn't just about being in the desk and the classroom setting. It's about forming that relationship between you and your teacher, you and your classmates, and learning how to be a human being outside of the classroom. Learning new technology removes the personal connection that people have to learning about the world around them, leading to a lack of empathy for others. This lack of empathy drives people to feel detached from pressing social issues when they learn about them via a screen versus hearing personal stories about things that are brought forth by teachers and peers in a classroom. Remember, teachers and peers are the important part of learning, not the classroom setting. Removing the personal connection to a subject opens the door to a wide range of ethical issues. For example, let's say you learned about nuclear weapons, but you didn't have your teacher to explain the devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All you know is the nuclear weapon. That's a problem. My third contention is that education is more than just knowledge acquisition. Teachers provide social and emotional lessons for students and contribute to the personality development of their students, often filling in the gaps of students whose parents aren't providing those emotional lessons at home. Technology can't replicate that. The relationship between teacher and student takes on so many different forms. And while the affirmative defined teaching as somebody who teaches students who are being taught, there are other relationships that mimic that of somebody being taught, and those are just as important. Interaction with teachers allows for exponential growth that technology cannot provide. Human teachers help students discover their learning styles. Teachers teach us how to dream. For example, Oprah herself, an incredibly successful billionaire, said of her fourth grade teacher, Mary Duncan, "I always, because of Duncan, felt that I could take on the world." She did exactly what teachers are supposed to do. They create a spark for learning that lives with you from then on. Oprah said that's why she has her talk show today. Teachers help cultivate a sense of purpose in their students. Technology can't detect a student's special skills or potential. Imagine how many unrealized talents there would be without teachers to discover those early indicators of skill. Without teachers, the next generation will have less understanding of how to learn and how to navigate different power relationships, robbing young people of a chance to develop a healthy relationship to the concept of authority. For that reason, I know that humans could not survive without teachers. Thank you.
The category is HBCU culture. I'm sure you can all relate to that. And the question is, what is the ultimate HBCU hype song? Oh, there it is. That's flag surfer. All right. The next option. Okay. The next option is not give you up by crying. Then we're going back to Team A for 3 minutes, and then Team B for an additional 3 minutes. Got it? All right, and then the final judge deliberation is 3 to 4 minutes after that. It's going to be a longer round, okay? Let's do it. Y'all ready?
Through the physical interlinking, the dance that accompanies this song strengthens bonds among HBCU students and alumni through touch. The holding of friends and strangers alike while waiting for the beat to drop builds anticipation and closeness. According to a 2021 published article by the University of Helsinki, what's called social touch or touching someone else is a fundamental building block of good relationships. So when you are standing beside people and you begin to interlock with one of them, you begin to increase your energy, and that physical movement increases your heart rate, which increases the level of hypeness that you are experiencing. Number 2, dreams and nightmares has been televised. Now we've all been scrolling on social media on TikTok, and we've seen some white person say it's finna go. I know you've seen it. The misinterpretation of AAPE by white people on social media is a problem. This increased access to black culture makes white people or other people that are non-black believe that they have access to black spaces just because they can learn a song and the lyrics gives them this false sense of entitlement in black spaces. With Dreams and Nightmares and other songs that so focus on lyrics to hype becoming so popular, the challenge of learning the song has been prioritized over black art and its message. Social media has increased access to certain African American practices and cultural pieces such as songs. For example, if we were to go on TikTok, you could find thousands of white people and white and other non-black people singing the lyrics of Dreams and Nightmares word for word. Does this grant them access to our community?
No!
It includes a broader range of people who have had an HBCU experience. Swag surfing provides connectivity through an unspoken language as well that allows for community and true unity. A big thing that we see with Dreams and Nightmares and other songs that are focused on lyrics is that you need to have the ability to recite the words. The thing that unites a group of people is that if they know all the words and are thus accepted by the majority, then they are hype and can be included. Contrastingly, swag surfing does not require anyone to know the lyrics, which is why Black people. That's time. Okay.
Judges, audience, I would imagine that you're at a party. It's dead. Crowd's not moving, no one's dancing, but then you hear a familiar tune. I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, and we watch the crowd fill with a buzz. Team Mission Accomplished believes Dreams and Nightmares is the ultimate HBCU Hype song. Our opponent wants to talk about anticipation and energy for something. Dreams and Nightmares is that anticipation, and it is that energy. Our first point is that it's a rags to riches anthem. Now, we're all in college. You know what it's like to struggle a little bit. You might have to go to financial aid to argue for your life, or have a comfortable meal because you ran out of $90. And the lyrics of Dreams and Nightmares invigorate you the spirit to keep going. I did it without an album. I grinded to shine. The lyrics invigorate you to be yourself and live within your truth, especially on a party, to be hyped, to feel anticipation for your time at your HBCU and rep it with pride. The lyrics of Dreams and Nightmares illustrates how students manage to matriculate through HBCUs despite their struggle and still come out shining and glowing. Our second point is that it's a collective connection. Dreams and Nightmares is best known for its collective enthusiasm at the function. See, even if you don't know the lyrics, you know when the beat is going to drop. You can anticipate the feeling of when everyone screams that chorus. Hold up, wait a minute, y'all thought I was finished. When I bought the ass line, I thought it was ready. And even if you don't know the beginning or the middle or the end, you know that's coming and that creates that hype. You generate enthusiasm for being with your peers and knowing that you're in a space that was built for you and to thrive as yourself. But when you do know the lyrics, it's especially invigorating to be in a space where your collective peers are able to come together. You don't have to touch a sweaty person beside you who's been standing around during swag surf. You get to scream the lyrics in your friend's face or a stranger that you just met without having to come into contact, which you may not want. My third and final point is that it spans geographical boundaries. Now, Dreams and Nightmares is known as the Philly anthem, but it's influenced many areas around HBCUs such as Atlanta, DC, Tuskegee, Tallahassee. You don't have to be from Philly to enjoy the song. The song is so versatile that it expanded beyond the range of Philadelphia. It expanded beyond the people that love the Eagles and live in that city. It's here, in my city, where we and we're able to become one with yourself and live as one at an HBCU. At HBCUs, it's often difficult to various subcultures in one place. We're all from different areas. We all come from so many different backgrounds that you feel out of place. But you know, I'm coming to the #1 HBCU in the fall. Let me learn Dreams and Nightmares. You know you're going to the house. Let me get on my grind and learn Dreams and Nightmares. And even if you don't learn it, you know that at the end of the day, everyone around you will be bumping, jumping, and being hyped. For all these reasons, you should side with the team Mission Accomplished. Thank you.
Let's get into some things that the opposing team said. Your Hyper stated that Dreams and Nightmares is
an anthem, and that even if you don't know the lyrics, you're prepared for the beat to drop. How am I supposed to know when the beat drops if I don't even know the lyrics, bro? Swag surfing, you literally don't need to know the lyrics. We had Sheila up here, all she was doing was, I don't know what to do. No lyrics required. So in their world, we're already winning. I don't know about. Moving on, let me go back into reiterating our contentions and our reasonings. 1, swag surfing creates a physical and metaphorical community. Again, we are united in that same familiarity with the song. So we're grabbing onto our neighbor, we're grabbing onto our friends, strangers, all of these things. We're creating community. You're getting hyped for that beat to drop and ready to celebrate whatever we're attending. Homecoming, a party, any of these things that are universal to HBCUs. And we can feel united and not have to be restricted by not knowing the lyrics to a popular song. Second, we have that dreams and nightmares has been colonized. Why am I at my primarily white high school and the white soccer team that I'm a part of, the only black girl, why are they playing dreams and nightmares to get hyped before our big game? That doesn't give HBCU hype, that doesn't give anthem, that doesn't give anything to make me feel closer to my black people. In fact, it makes me feel like they have more access to this black space just because they know the lyrics. So how are we supposed to argue that Dreams and Nightmares is the ultimate hype song when it has indeed been colonized? Third, we want to get into the fact that swag surfing encourages inclusivity rather than exclusivity. A big thing we see with Dreams and Nightmares is the ability to recite lyrics. If you do not know the lyrics, you're not going to be accepted by the majority, the group, and thus feel excluded. How am I supposed to feel hype in an area where I don't feel welcomed? Swag surfing is the exact opposite of that. You do not need to know the lyrics to these popular songs. All you need to know is rhythm. And y'all are black, so I know you know. Yes. There's no hype for all listeners if they don't study the lyrics beforehand. This concentrates on who has the ability to engage with the song or to those who learn it verbatim. Swag surfing does not require anyone to know the lyrics. All we need to know is to grab onto our neighbor and sway. It's simple, inclusive, and more known to all. All you need is a little rhythm. And like I said, y'all have that. So yes, that is the main reason why you should choose the affirmative. That swag surfing is the ultimate HBCU hype.
So when you're scrolling before coming to Spelman or before coming to Morehouse, you're searching, what should I know before I come to my HBCU? And the one song that will always come up is Dreams and Nightmares. And while they're gonna paint this picture that you have to know the words, you don't really have to know the words. I still don't know all the words. And I can still bump to Dreams and Nightmares, and I'm from the DMV, so that's really my thing. So, Exactly. You have to stop one. The physical and metaphorical community that swag surfing creates, it's actually for about 2 seconds. I believe that this contention should be thrown out because after the first 2 minutes of swag surfing, you turn it off. Whereas Dreams and Nightmares, they play the whole song, okay? They play the whole song. You can bump to the whole song. Hype is defined by the Cambridge Dictionary as something that attracts attention. And even the affirmative defined it as a high level of anticipation for something. We have a high level of anticipation for Dreams and Nightmares, the entire song, whereas swag surfing, once again, you're only doing it for about 2 seconds. And that's exactly why Dreams and Nightmares is the best HBCU hype song. You hear it at every single party, whereas swag surfing, you only hear it at send-offs. It has limited reach. Thank you.
How you feeling? That was intense. That was very intense. Audience, what do y'all think about the song? What do y'all? So no one likes Nothing But? Wow. The 4 minutes, I'm gonna distract all of you for the next 2 more minutes, right? Yeah. You know, I think I want to jump in. I think I'm gonna be I just made that up on the spot, so now I get points. You know, I'm an old young lady, so I enjoy all these songs in real time when they came out. So I can't be too biased. See, Nothing But. I went to high school in Atlanta, you know, on the east side. So, as someone who lives near Ellenwood, I support Crime Mom and everything they do. And I feel like Nothing But is important, okay? Especially in the club, as a member of a Greek organization. That is how you let people know what you're about. The song is a threat. And I don't promote violence, however, sometimes you have to let people know, you have to inform the people. And I think as an informative song, it is a very important HBCU staple. Yeah, we're not talking about violence. No wonder and such. But it's a good time. It's inclusive. For Spelman being an all-black female school, the inclusivity of having Diamond and Princess offer their verses. You know, they have natural hair. She's coming to the club and she's shaking her dress. It gets the party going. Fights may happen. You know, some of you may die. That's worth it. That's a Shrek line. That's a Shrek. That is a Shrek. As Fort Rockwell outside. But I do believe Nothing But deserves its respect. You know, it gets people going. Everyone's strolling. Everyone's dancing. People are running and hiding and trying to find safety. And that's when you find trickery. You know, you're trying to protect yourself from a flying cube markets, right? Y'all call it the market? Yeah. That's funny. That's correct, yeah. What other songs should they include in there? I think we're missing some songs. What are we going to look for out here? Never Drop You, No Hands is staple. the Morehouse Movement Board. And Mr. McGee, I have the winner. Wow, I'm gonna relish being the only person that knows for a couple more seconds. I'm gonna go round by round, okay? So we can see how we got to this. The winner of round one was Team Astro Award. Those were both unanimous votes. In round three, it was so close, Jesus. It was so close. The winner of round three, and the winner of the HBCU. The winner of round three is Mission Accomplished! Don't jump me. Congratulations. But let's give it up for both incredible teams tonight. Come on, you gotta play. Get some photos for the studio before everybody leaves, so let's just do that. So let's celebrate Team Mission Accomplished!
Squeeze and get green. Never let them all get in between.
Y'all can sing! Be sure to share your favorite moment of the debate on social media and tell us which argument convinced you the most. And don't forget to bring your own crew to experience the mission for yourself when Amazon MGM Studios Project Hail Mary hits theaters March 20th, 2026. Now let's take a look at the official trailer for Project Hail Mary.
I understand you think I'm the right person for this mission. I understand the stakes.
Object approaching. If we do nothing, everything on this planet will go extinct.
Check this out. We have about 250 words. Let's find you a voice.
Why is the school teacher in space?
Nope.
Why is a school teacher in space?
Try this.
I am Rocky. I like it.
So I have a roommate now.
Hi, Grace.
Together, we're pretty smart. But no one's ever done this before.
It is time go.
I think you mean go time, pal.
There are infinite possibilities for this to go wrong.
This ship wasn't built for this.
If Grace Rocky saves stars, we can go home.
I think this is a one-way trip for me.
I will not let Grace die.
Well, yeah, I think that's it. Y'all
All right, and we can have both debate teams and Mel come down so we get a couple of group shots with the crowd, and then we'll do some shots with the debate teams after that.
Awesome. Okay, let's do it.